welcome everybody. Hey, Austin Luth here with Red Solutions. Joining me today, Bryan Sanders, Raptor Dynamic. Welcome, Bryan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
It's awesome. So Bryan's first time in Nebraska. We drug him the whole way here for our all-in event.
I was not kicking or screaming, by the way.
That's okay if he was,
gladly
right?
said yes.
I dig it. But Bryan, first off, welcome.
Yeah,
Tell
thanks.
us a little bit how you got started in the drone world.
Oh my gosh.
And what's your role today? I should have started there. I apologize.
Well, it's okay. I'm the president of Raptor Dynamic. Our name has evolved from a company that my father started in 2009 called HSE. Stood for Homeland Surveillance and Electronics, which doesn't really make sense in the ag space, but it made sense where we started, which was providing small security and surveillance drones to police departments, fire departments, military groups, et cetera.
Oh, tremendous.
It was really neat, and it was an incredible sector to serve, and we really we just had a great time with it. And then DJI came onto the scene with a lot of different small camera drones.
Oh, wow.
And the custom-made, super high-end stuff became less necessary because the mass production, the quality got, improved significantly quickly. The price came down, of course. And we were like, well, we don't want to be selling a product that you can buy at Best Buy. We wanted something special, something we could really be experts in. So we started looking at the whole industry and said, all right, well, where should we go next? If it's not in security and surveillance, we thought, okay, agriculture for sure. And the prediction at the time was that agriculture would be 70% of the drone market. And most of the forecasts were talking about agriculture with sensors, multispectral, hyperspectral, NDVI cameras that can look at the crop health, crop density, spacing, soil health, counting, crop counting, and mapping, high resolution mapping, all that stuff. And we were like, well, that's cool, but it's still another drone with a camera on it, which wasn't as thrilling to us.
So that's like infrared and the heat exposure.
That's right.
God, I don't even know what that's called, but anyways. Crazy. What year do you think that was when it was in that realm of?
So that was it was right when I joined. That was in 2013 to 2014 is when we were pivoting from security and surveillance to agriculture.
Awesome.
Yeah.
10, 11 years ago.
I know. 12.
And 12 holy
almost,
buckets.
Yeah, coming up on 12.
And so now agriculture, spray drones.
Yeah.
Where did you start?
Oh my gosh. So so I was in the financial sector before.
Okay.
My father and his best friend from elementary school.
Oh, wow.
A long time ago. And then my uncle all started the company. And it just was blowing up in a really good way. And they were like, hey, we need help. And I'd worked in all this corporate America caca, and it wasn't very fun for me. And I was like, all right, let's get out of here and do something new.
Yeah.
And so I'd been, kind of always hearing about the drone business at the family dinner table and all that stuff. My dad said, would you like to work for us? So it was my sister and I. Her name's Joy. And we said, yeah, let's do it. We don't know anything about drones. We don't know anything about agriculture. We grew up in an agriculture family, but hadn't been around or near the farm, and since we were kids.
Yeah.
My family was in Illinois and Oklahoma before that. And so when I came on board, it was right when we were making that switch.
Really?
And so, I got to be a little part of the decision and the exploring, and we searched high and low. And what we found was in China, they'd been using spraying drones at that point for already almost 20 years.
No way.
And we'd never heard of it, right? We were like, we don't want to do more camera drones. But we were like, holy cow, in China, they're spraying all these rice fields, these little rice paddies with spraying drones because they were difficult to spray otherwise.
Right on.
Right?
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, difficult terrain in most cases. So back in the day, those Chinese people were rigging up these remote-controlled hodgepodge together. I'm talking homegrown, garage-made stuff.
Oh,
right?
man.
And rigging up sprayers just like how crop duster planes originally evolved after folks in the military. Rigging up sprayers and nozzle systems. So they were super RC back in the day. You just control them. Everything was done manually. It was wild. But we talked to a bunch of different companies, met with a bunch of different companies, found one group out of Beijing that had really done a great job at making it as autonomous as possible at the time, which had not, it was cutting edge. Funny to look back at now.
So you look at a farmer, like, where do they come up with ideas?
Yeah.
And what they do is they try to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
to get more work done.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Chinese did the same thing.
Bingo.
So that's the key. But doing it 20 years ago?
I know.
Holy cow.
When it's 30 years now. Right now it's 30 years ago.
So we're on to us, it's new. And it's still at that point of adaption or adoption, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not there 100% yet.
Yeah, and it's happening globally, right? Now that's the thing that's really propelling the technology in a way that's insanely useful, is that it's happening globally. And some farmer challenges translate across all continents and all countries. Not all of them, but some of the problems do. So obviously the more adoption, the better the technology is getting. So nowadays, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Brian, how easy is it to use these spraying drones? I'd be like, well, you better have a degree and God knows what to be able to figure out how to use these dang things, because they were not easy. They just weren't. They were super labor intensive, and you had to really babysit and monitor every little thing about them.
Really?
They just weren't accurate. They had like a 6-foot GPS accuracy. So there was no landing on a trailer.
Oh, no. Jeez, how would
If you
we don't
tried
even know how to do that.
It would not. But,
Yeah.
and the rows would shift, and they just were in their infancy for us. And now the technology is really, 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 I'd like to say at its prime, but I don't think we're there yet. But it's night and day now.
It is wild. So as a newcomer myself, we'll say 6 months into the drone industry.
Yeah.
The first thing that I noticed was ease.
Yeah.
The fairness is, did I understand what the ease was? No, because I was new to it,
Yeah.
So I got my email, got my password.
Yeah.
I learned how to map.
Man.
Funny stories, I taught my 14-year-old nephew how to map.
Cool.
And he could do it like that. Never seen a drone, didn't know what he was mapping, but we paired it to his phone, so he used his Wi-Fi, mapped his FFA plot by their school.
Brilliant.
And he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And now he's like, can we fly it? Like, someday we're going to do that,
That's right.
But that simplicity.
Yeah.
Something new that you can learn, and it's not like out there, like it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
This was driving down a road from Fort Dodge, Iowa,
Yeah.
and he's doing it right in the seat next to me.
Incredible.
I'm not having to bear hug him, to tell him. So neat there.
I think about it a lot, Austin, like, back when the first smartphones came out, right?
Okay.
Remember how you couldn't multitask? You couldn't have multiple apps open at the same time on the original Palm Pilot. I'm really dating myself now.
Oh, my goodness.
And then the old, I can't remember what the other first device was. I had one of those. And then the original iPhone, you could not run multiple apps simultaneously. You also couldn't copy and paste from one screen to another.
Oh, man.
It's only a camera on the back. We could go on and on and on about what they couldn't do now that we just take so for granted. And nowadays, it's like, you've got a 150 megapixel camera and it's got 8 gigs of RAM and or whatever the numbers are now.
Completely necessary.
Absolutely. But similar to our reliance, what we could count on the technology, what we used it, how much we used it and leveraged it, and how big of an impact it had on our lives back then is a very similar trajectory in spraying drones.
Yeah.
So nowadays, growers are using them in all different kinds of environments and situations. Tasking them with some serious tens of thousands of acres a year, and the drones aren't breaking a sweat.
That's
nice.
So
I think that's the other neat thing about it. Similar, if we look back 8 years or so, every new smartphone that would come out was leaps and bounds different than the last one.
Yeah.
Now with the iPhone so-and-so or the Google so-and-so or the Samsungs, it's like, this looks just like the last one. And they're like,
what did they change?
This is a new so-and-so. And you're like, I don't think so. Yeah. I think we're not there yet with drones. There's still pretty big differences in each model year that comes out. But we're getting to the point where the technology is really reliable, very easy to use, like you were talking about. And the efficiency is getting to a point where we're kind of waiting on operators now more than we're waiting on the drone.
There we go.
Which is super cool.
And learning, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So as you said that, here's where I was going to next goes. You started with DJI.
Yeah.
And then Raptor also had a relationship with XAG.
That's right.
And the newest one is with company Vector.
That's right.
AGR and their HD 580.
That's right.
That Red Solutions also is using.
Yeah.
And hats off to them. Holy cow.
Yeah.
How did you find them?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Was it a want ad? How does all that work?
That would be good. Yeah. When you've been in the industry for a long time, you have a decent pulse on what's happening in the industry. You kind of know who the who's are.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's up and coming. You know who's just what we call parts bin drones, which are just copying everything from one company and putting their name on it and send it out the door. And then you also understand the underpinnings of what makes a company really, really, really successful in our market. And Vector really checked a lot of those boxes.
Awesome.
So they were innovative. They leveraged existing design philosophies that were tried and true. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel when there's a really good wheel out there. And DJI and XAG have made some really good wheels. So Vector took nods towards some of the stuff that they had done, took the convenience and the ease of use of DJI, but the performance, the productivity of XAG, and really kind of built this perfect machine, which I've said for years, if I could only find a company that takes this from them and that from them, and they're all uniquely their own. They're all, and just like phones, people have their preference on which machine is their favorite, right? It's totally cool. So we had went out and visited, I don't know how many drone companies, because all of this political stuff with DJI was up in the air. And we'd originally met with Vector at the beginning of last year, 2024. And it started talks and had met with a bunch of other manufacturers. And we looked at everything from how responsive are they? How innovative are they? What's their long-term brand vision, like the 10-year plan? What do they think are the current pitfalls of the technology, including distribution and support models, which is super important to us. And they just checked a lot of the boxes.
Yeah, it's a remarkable product at the end of the day, but you can't say enough about a company support. Yeah. And here at Red Solutions, we like to emulate that same idea.
Yeah.
It's not always about us making money, us selling drones, selling product with our parent company, Red Star. It's about how the customer is going to be successful.
Yeah.
The next part is, how do you get that kid, that child that was raised on the farm, to go to school, and how do they get back?
Amen.
And this is that opportunity, I feel, to get the young child, the college boy, girl,
It's so funny
back
to
in
call
the deal.
them boys and girls, because it's like, 25 years younger.
We were there, right? No, man. But you
Yeah.
get chills thinking of it. This is that technology. This is that way.
That's right.
We've created it.
Yep.
In North Dakota, great story. Steve Olson, hope you're listening. He flies with his daughter.
Oh,
it's the coolest thing. And I tell him every time, like, how awesome is that?
Yep.
I have a 4-year-old daughter. Someday. Like, who knows,
That's
right?
That's it.
But they get to spend that quality time doing something they enjoy and maybe make some money.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And they learn how to do it best.
That's right.
Best practice, what works for them, how to work together.
Yep.
That's nuts.
How to pay attention to details, how to really care about the quality of your work as your application.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I think the other thing that it is absolutely pivotal and foundational in why I do what I do. I love the opportunity to bring kids back to the farm. I love boosting and supporting our rural economies and rural areas. I also love, just totally strengthening American farmers so that they can dominate the food supply. I mean, I'm so here for that. I think that's so hot, and it's something that I just have always been passionate about. How do I support the people that literally put food on our plates? And it seems, there's ways we could, there's ways that we could be even more pronounced, but I'm really excited about the way that we're contributing. I think the other thing that's really neat, we have a ton of young customers, tons. And I have to be careful when they come in, and I don't call them kids, right? The kid over there, like, oh, sorry, you're 21. I remember what it was like to be 21 and be like, I'm not a kid.
Yeah.
But they're so excited. And I think that passion and that enthusiasm, the thing that lights them up, they'll walk up and they'll be like, oh my gosh, what about this? And how does that? Most of the time they've done so much research, they already know. A lot of times more than I know about the product. And they're like, but they grew up with remote controllers in their hands. And this stuff is cutting edge. It's precise. It's enjoyable. It's challenging in the sense that you're learning all of these different methods of application and apps and software and all that stuff. But it's given them a reason to come back to farming, because I think in their hearts they want to be part of farming still. But a lot of the old ways of doing things don't excite them. This isn't true for all kids, of course, but that's my favorite thing about this industry.
That's cool. The cutting edge, the technology, the innovation.
Yeah.
And dad can't do it. You know? How many times did the grandpa teach the dad to teach the son?
That's right.
Now the son injects this innovation, this technology, and watch me, Dad.
Yeah.
Watch me succeed. You talk about the youth.
Yeah.
The conversations I have, they think outside the box so much.
All the time.
A gentleman down at Kearney, he wants to fly a drone. He wants to only do aquatics.
Yeah.
So only attack the moss, attack the algae.
Invasive aquatics.
Great.
Yep.
I mean,
mosquito vector control.
Holy cow, right?
That's right. It's a big industry.
There's a lot of different usage.
That's right.
Uses. Here we go. What's one thing before you do a drone or get a drone that you need to have as a skill?
Ooh, goodness gracious. What a good question. I'm going to answer that. I also want to just say one other thing about what we were talking about. I think as a parent or as parents, having a legacy is important. And I think the neat thing about having your kids come back to the farm and just be ecstatic about they went out there and busted their tails all day and they did this and that part went totally bad and then they figured it out and they solved the problem on their own, and like that's a legacy that a parent would be proud of. Mm-hmm. So that's something that a child being able to be an entrepreneur and run their own spray drone business, and go out there and market and brand themselves and solve problems and get customers quotes and then remember to send them a bill when the services are done. It's really, really, really cool.
That is awesome.
I've thought a lot about that in our business because my father started it, right? And it's like this is the legacy that we pass down to future generations and something that makes our parents proud. And so I love being able to just, have that be really prolific in this industry.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's tight knit, even though it's so big and it's growing quickly, it's still tight knit. So you really know your customers. And like you said earlier about the success that they're having.
Well, you know your customers because one, you're doing an application for them.
Yeah.
They are then in turn probably going to get a better yield.
Yeah. Yes.
And because, tell me if I'm wrong, but the drone application is better than the airplane, the helicopter, and ground spraying.
It's typically depends on the crop itself, and the product being applied. Typically, and there's several factors. There's an efficacy, which means we've got the product to the zone that we needed it at, right? Whether that's a fungicide or an insecticide or a herbicide or whatever it is. Drones are really, really good at that because they're close to the target, more so than a plane or a helicopter would be. Drones also have the benefit of the downward thrust from their propellers that help push that product to the fruit zone if you're spraying ornamentals or vegetables or vineyards, which I've spent a lot of time on, which is also fun. Sometimes you get paid in wine, which is cool if you like wine. I'm trying to get that figured out with hops. I haven't had any luck yet. But anyway, drones are really incredibly precise about that. And the other thing that they're really good at is mitigating drift. So when you've got an application like on a herbicide that you don't want drift, some products you want to drift, like a vector agent or a larvicide or an adulticide if you're spraying for mosquitoes. But on a herbicide where you don't want it to drift, drones are also really great about just pushing that product straight to where you intend it to go and not allowing it to move off target, is what we call off target. Drones have less drift in studies that have been done by the researchers and scientists. A lot at USDA does a lot of this work, and a lot of universities as well. But drones typically have a significant reduction in drift over a fixed-wing crop duster plane, a slightly better drift mitigation over a helicopter just because of their proximity to the target, and typically on par or really close to a ground rig sprayer. So pretty comparable to that. Yeah. You asked me a question, and I said I'd come back to it, which was about
what's one skill?
I'm sorry, the skill.
One skill as a drone operator. You say, "Hey, I want to do this."
Yeah.
What's one skill you need to make sure you have, or at least that you can improve on or build on as you dive into this business?
This is going to sound silly maybe, but I think it really is. You got to be a committed person to something. You got to be just dedicated. You got to be driven, motivated, however you want to say that. I think the other aspects are pretty straightforward, they're pretty easy to use, but you got to be the kind of person that's willing to try something new and to go out there and fail and then pick up the pieces, and sometimes literal pieces that if you crash, they're rebuildable, but still it sucks. But you've got to be the kind of person that's got the grit, the tenacity, and the drive to really kind of forge the way, especially if you're in an industry that drone adoption is pretty low, like in aquatics. That we were talking about a second ago. Or in even a lot of rangeland and pasture land work, a lot of county weed control, weed management, those kinds of things. There's just a lot less folks out there using drones for that. It's an incredible opportunity for drones, but there's just less adoption. So if you're in that sector, you really got to be like, all right, I'm going to go out there and test this. I'm going to check, how did I do on my spray pattern? How was my row overlap? How's my spacing? How does the drone do when I'm on a grade like this in Montana, right? So, I'm spraying the side of a road.
So Bryan, what I hear is process, but repeated process. Don't change the wheel multiple times, but stick on the straight and narrow, but also be willing to learn.
Yes.
You can't be closed-minded.
Yeah, brilliant.
You go to a new field, you got to say, oh, I'll try this, but I got to stay a little bit on my straight and narrow.
Yeah, I think you said it really well.
You can't just try it different every which way, It's like a recipe. Mom's cookies, they're good for a reason.
That's right.
She didn't write anything down, It's all from the heart.
You also, I think the other part is if you don't come from an agriculture background, you have to really, really become an expert in the application side. The hardware side, the drones, flying and operating the drones is actually pretty straightforward, as you know. Understanding chemistry and chemicals and pesticides, understanding labels, environmental impacts like drift, what makes a product effective or not effective, mixing, handling, safe handling, all those things are really critical. I think first about applicators being expert at applying pesticides, and second, they're drone operators.
Wow.
Because who cares how great I am at operating or programming a drone if I don't get the job done that I was hired for, which is getting that fungicide to that part at that season, at that consistency, at that application rate.
I think the phrase is do right by the farmer.
Yeah.
Just don't fake it.
Yeah.
And send him a bill. Or hope you remember, right?
Bingo. Yeah.
As we look at it, we're a year through. We got through fungicide season. Still got a lot of moisture up here in northeast Nebraska. So we did see a record amount of acres. We have a lot of new pilots, a lot of product out there. Yeah. And while we're in the season, boom, we have an adjustment. Vector was able to make an improvement while we're working as hard as possible.
Yeah.
And do you see that a lot?
No.
Ever, right?
No, not a thing.
That was like, my eyes are just like, okay, we're going to make it through this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Christmas, we've got this new product. It handles 65% reduction in vibration, which the product still worked. But now...
It's a massive improvement.
Holy buckets.
Yeah, 65% plus longer flight time as well.
100%. And that is just, as a guy sitting in the back row, like, wow. Hats off to Vector. Your ability to handle a situation or a problem that you saw and in a short amount of time make a dramatic change, my words.
That's right.
That was an improvement ungodly. You feel like it's a new beast.
It does. They operate like new machines.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I think the thing that makes Vector really special, and one of the things that really stood out to us, is that all of the other companies, again, China pioneered this technology. Mm-hmm. That's why they're so dang good at it. And folks have come and tried to make American-made options, or options that they say are American-made, but they're just Chinese parts that are all assembled. But Vector, unlike any of the other Chinese companies that we've ever worked with, understands the potential for the American market and understands that it's a very different market with very different needs than mainland China. We have massive acreage here, right? Massive acreage, different rigor when it comes to our labels, our product labels, our environmental concerns, the accuracy. We don't have 4G coverage at every corner of every
wow.
little
Yeah.
inch. Where they do in China, literally that
No
entire
way.
country, you could be in the middle of nowhere, full bars, 4G. I don't think it's probably not 5G yet, but full. I mean, it's wild.
Holy buckets.
Like being out of service is not a thing in China. That like doesn't happen. So Vector, unlike a lot of the other folks, are like, hey, what does America need? You tell us, and we're going to put all of our eggs in the basket that no one else is putting their eggs in. And we've just worked thick as thieves with them to really make those kinds of improvements and those kinds of enhancements.
So work together side by side as true partners.
Yeah.
Their product, but product that we are going to present to the growers.
Yeah, that's right.
And to entrepreneurs alike.
Yeah.
I feel that because it isn't me versus them. It is together. It's a partnership.
Yep.
Spent the past 2 months working side by side with Vector
right.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tremendous. One of the personalities that you meet.
Yeah.
But they're hardworking.
Oh man.
And I think I told you, the other day they brought lunch, and those things. I think maybe that's a Midwesterner thing about me, but eating food and sharing those things, that is a trait to my grandparents and my family. But it goes a long ways.
It does.
And when you break bread together,
That's right.
It's something special.
And they had already eaten. They brought you back lunch.
That was right.
Which was even cooler because they were just that considerate.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I bet Austin's hungry back there because he didn't join us at lunch today.
Yeah. Always thinking about the others.
That's right.
And that's cool. And also thinking about the grower
Yes.
and their product. We've been to growers' fields.
Yep.
We've been in the heat of the moment.
Yes.
We've been in there in the struggles.
That's right.
They were there side by side.
Yep.
I'm a big high five guy.
Yeah.
And they got him to high five.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And
I'll teach you some Chinese.
Yeah. We got high fives. We
good.
got good morning.
Great.
Knuckle bumps.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing is when they see that customer, that grower, that applicator leave with that drone and be just in awe.
Yep.
That's the cool. They take that passion and that joy.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to continue to do.
Yeah, it really supercharges them. It does, and I think that's one thing that's really special about our American culture is that sense of we're going to tell it to you straight when things aren't working, but we're also going to really celebrate and be excited and tell you when we're thrilled about stuff. And I don't think they get a lot of that from their clientele in mainland China. I think a lot of it's just in one door out the other. Because the adoption rate in China is so big, these drones are so transactional. It's just
oh man.
So I think they don't necessarily. And one of my favorite things is anytime we've had someone out there with one of these aircraft, especially when it was really early on, and there was an issue, they'd say the first thing they'd say is, "Well, can we go out there? Can we go? Where are they?
Same experience.
Where are they?" And we're like, "You're in Missouri right now, and they're in Texas." And they're like, "Can we drive there? Can we go right now?" And we're like, "Yes, I love this. Yes, let's go." So that's something that's really important is that they just put their money where the mouth's at. That's really, really, really good.
100% believe in the product, and if it is not solving the problem, we're going to fix it.
100%.
Never once.
We've never had a perfect drone out of the box, ever. I don't care what brand it is. They all come out with issues. The technology is really, it's insane. If you really ever go down the rabbit wheel of what makes these things work, it's mind-blowing. So they have problems, but the big differences we're talking about here is that how quick and how fast and how rigorous are the fixes. And that's what Vector is really, they're sharpening their teeth on that. It's really great.
I love that because it came right away. I was like, oh yeah. When it first came out, when we were first like solving problems, we realized very simple, rinse out, it was a nozzle issue or application error. And it was rinse the drone and prepare to work again. Yeah. It wasn't take this off, take that off, and do this. Yeah. I come up with a couple sayings. We're going to see what you think of them.
All right, let's hear
the first one is a drone is a flying computer.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And these things are so smart. They tell us what's wrong.
Yep.
Sometimes we look at it like, I don't know what you're saying. Same thing with my 4-year-old child, you know? So, then you said downward force.
Yeah.
I talk vortex, and I say whiskers.
Oh, okay.
So I'm out in Iowa. Nate Snakenberg, this one's for you. Here it is. His drone carrier is a bus. So he has a drone bus. Maybe you saw it online.
I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're out in the hills of Iowa, and vortex, whiskers. He does a great job doing it. I'm saying 2,500 acres, never touched a drone, 47 years old, older than me. Like, this is a new technology. This isn't the cell phone I've had 10 years.
That's right.
This is brand new.
Yep.
And he's followed the rule of make it back to the trailer safely, and let's continue for another day.
Love it.
If I said his average was like 44 acres an hour, pretty good for a new guy.
Heck yeah.
But also he's learning how to map his fields better. Yep. Next year he will be miles ahead. Probably a 2-drone system, but you never know.
Yep.
Those things are something new, but where I was going was whiskers, but something new like that he just ate it up.
Yeah.
And tried to make himself better, but never once said I know it at all, you know?
Yep.
I think this week he called, he's like, I got some more products, I'm gonna do some more tests.
Yeah.
So he's still flying the drone. You gotta love it. And then, so the drone is liquid. So we got the chemical tank.
Yep.
And then also we have that second option, which is on the same drone, is our spreader.
That's right.
100-liter spreader, which is roughly 65 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're into that season.
Yep.
What are you guys seeing, and what are you guys hearing? Thursday we're doing a calibration of oats and rye, and then a turnip and radishes combination.
Yep.
You guys hear anything on the street about that?
Yeah. Cover crop seeding is I'm surprised at how slow the adoption was on this.
Okay.
And it's really taken off. I'd say since 2024 was I think between 2023 and 2024 is where I really saw a massive increase of adoption. I think folks were just primarily wanting to solve the problems with existing methods of spraying, which is what had them first go and make the investment in a spraying drone. Now they're like, well, I already have this. I might as well just get more use out of it throughout the season, right?
What else can you do?
Yeah, exactly. So that's been really exciting to see. I think that seeding has a lot of the same benefits, a lot of the same precision, the consistency, the ease, the ability to go out and fly and operate regardless of what's happening with soil conditions, and the ability to do it on your own terms. Right, and
huge.
Keep more of the money in your own pocket. I mean, it really is. It's like kind of ridiculously effortless once you understand what you're doing. It's hilarious. I'll have clients that'll call me, 20,000 acres or whatever this year, and they're out there sending me pictures, and they're sitting under this little shade tent with a little beer cooler, and I'm like, you're done spraying, right? FAA rules there, but anyway, it makes light work out of what's historically been expensive, very time-consuming, and frankly dangerous, depending on the method of application, right? And so that's been awesome. I think on cover crop seeding, you've got a lot of opportunity there. You can also get into dry fertilizers as well. A lot of granules
Absolutely.
for like adulticides, well, not adulticides, but larvicides in the vector control world. Invasive aquatics, also a lot of granule or powder-based applications. A lot of organic. Product as well that you can spray with the same seeder attachment. So it just opens a whole nother pile of opportunities for you.
It's endless. You could find usage for a drone to solve a problem.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is.
Getting a lot of work done at your own time.
That's right.
Taking a piece of that pie back.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome.
What is the most fun you've had in the drone world? Not just with Raptor, but through the years, all the way from surveillance, military, helping out with the firefighters, first responders, now in the ag world. What's like one cool little story?
Oh my gosh, there's
not
so
the people
many.
you met, because you meet amazing people everywhere you go.
That's a really good question. I loved working with police departments. I loved that. And fire departments that would go out and we'd do training missions, and they'd say, all right, well, here's a barricaded subject, right, that we think has a hostage situation, and we're going to use the drones to do a perimeter around the building so we can make sure before we send in our people that the area is secure, or the best angle to have people be there and to protect people. Fire departments using drones with thermal cameras that could detect heat spots, right, or heat signatures, depending on where the hottest part of the fire was, or if it was all the way out. A lot of really cool cases like that. I think my favorite is a case when I was in wine country in California, Sonoma Valley area, and I was out at this vineyard with a guy, with the grower, and he was like, "Come on up," and we're chomping up the fields. He's on this really steep hillside, and he walks up we're at the base of it, and it's just gorgeous. And the sun's hitting it so perfectly, and he's like, "This is her. This is my beauty." And I thought, man, I love this guy's passion and enthusiasm. And he talked to me all about how he'd set up the trellising system to have the sun and the wind and everything hit it just perfectly at the right time. He said, "This is a work of art to me." You know,
amazing.
we did all of this. And so I think what I loved about that is it really got me connected to what was being grown and what we were now tasked with protecting and preserving and nurturing and having a better crop yield, right? And more bushels per acre and all that. It was just incredible. Or pound, I can't remember what we call it in viticulture, but tons per pound. No, tons per acre, something like that. Anyway, but
a passion for sure.
Tons of it. And that was so neat. It was just really fun for me. So every time I'd go back and see him, it was like, "Oh, how's that drone working?" He's like, "It's great. Well, now we're using it over on that hillside." It was just really cool.
Continue. And so he paid in wine? Is this the guy?
I wish. I wish. Listen, yeah, checks in the mail. The case is in the mail.
Bryan, I tell you, thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
You're here for a Red Star, all in, the big dig.
Yeah.
And we have a spot in it of that technology sector.
Yeah.